AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her no kids rule, even though everyone else thinks I'm overreacting. I, 28F, have always had a pretty close relationship with my family, especially my younger sister, Clara, 25F. We grew up in a fairly traditional household, and our parents made a big deal out of birthdays, holidays, and family events. I always consider myself one of the responsible adults in the family, balancing work, friendships, and family obligations pretty well. That being said, I also have a son, Max, who is 6 years old. I've been a single mom for almost his entire life, and while it hasn't been easy, I am fiercely protective of him and try to make sure he is always included in important family moments whenever possible. Recently, Clara got engaged to her fiancé, Alex. At first, I was excited for her. Weddings are a big deal in our family, and I thought it would be a great chance for Max to bond with his aunt and meet new family members. About 2 months ago, she sent out her wedding invitations, and when I read the details, my heart sank. Her wedding is going to be adults only. No children allowed. She explained it in a short note attached to the invitation, saying it was strictly an adult event, and that she wanted the ceremony and reception to be free of distractions. I understand wanting a certain type of wedding vibe, but my issue is that Clara has never expressed this kind of sentiment before. Every other major family gathering she's been at, birthdays, holidays, even small weddings for friends, has always included children. Max is very well behaved, and I've been told countless times by other family members that he is polite, charming, and generally a joy to be around. I couldn't understand why Clara suddenly decided she didn't want kids there, especially since this includes her own nephew. I emailed her privately to ask if there might be any exceptions, explaining that Max is a special case, that he is calm in formal settings, and that I would even handle all the supervision myself. Clara responded curtly, reiterating that her wedding would not allow children, period. She said she appreciated my understanding, but that she wanted the day to be about adults and the couple's celebration, and not about parenting duties or child entertainment. At first, I considered hiring a babysitter nearby, so Max could stay somewhere safe and I could attend. But Max is very attached to me, and separation is often hard for him, especially for a long day like a wedding. I also worried that he would be upset seeing everyone else enjoying themselves while he couldn't be there. I didn't want him to feel excluded from an important family event. After a lot of thinking, I decided I couldn't attend the wedding. I felt torn because I wanted to support my sister and celebrate her, but the thought of leaving Max behind made me anxious and guilty. I sent Clara a message explaining my decision, saying that I couldn't celebrate without my son there and that I hoped she would understand. I emphasized that I love her and wish her the best, but I had to put Max first. The response I got was not what I expected. Clara was upset and accused me of holding the wedding hostage and being selfish. She said it's her big day, and she doesn't see why I would prioritize Max over her celebration. She also mentioned that our parents were disappointed, saying I should have been more flexible and that Max missing one day wouldn't hurt him. She said I was overreacting and that everyone else was excited to celebrate her. So I was effectively ruining things by refusing to compromise. I've had long talks with some other family members since then, and the responses have been mixed. Some say I should just suck it up and leave Max with a sitter or relative for a day. Others say I'm within my rights to prioritize my child, and that Clara should have known this might be a problem. I've even had friends argue that the wedding being adults only is unreasonable because it excludes close family, particularly children who are part of the family. I feel torn. On one hand, I want to respect Clara's wishes and I want to celebrate her marriage. On the other hand, I can't imagine spending a whole day away from Max when he's 6 and would really want to be there. I've considered other options like attending only the ceremony or just showing up for pictures, but Clara has made it clear that attendance is all or nothing. At this point, Clara and I haven't spoken in person since the message, and I can feel the tension growing within the family. I'm worried I'm being unreasonable, but I also feel strongly that I shouldn't have to abandon my child for someone else's preference, even if it's my sister. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her no kids rule, even though everyone else thinks I'm overreacting. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to pay for my brother's wedding after he accused me of being cheap and not caring about family. I, 39F, come from a fairly close-knit family. I work a demanding job in marketing, have a stable home, and am generally careful with my finances. My younger brother, Andrew, 35M, has always been less financially disciplined. He tends to spend impulsively and has occasionally relied on family to cover unexpected expenses. Over the years, I've helped him in small ways, occasionally lending money or helping with emergencies, but nothing beyond that because I have my own responsibilities and priorities. Earlier this year, Andrew got engaged. He and his fiancée, Clara, were thrilled and immediately started talking about the wedding. From the beginning, he hinted that he expected me to contribute a significant portion of the cost, including the venue, catering, and decorations. I was taken aback because the wedding is a major life event for them, not me, and I hadn't anticipated being responsible for that much. I explained that while I wanted to help in ways I could, such as assisting with planning, coordinating, or helping with smaller expenses, I simply couldn't pay for large portions of the wedding. Andrew didn't take it well. He said that it was expected for siblings to contribute financially to each other's weddings, and that if I truly cared about him and our family, I would help cover some of the bigger costs. I tried to reason with him, pointing out that weddings are already expensive and that many people fund their own ceremonies, but he insisted that I was being cheap and selfish. Over the next few weeks, he continued to pressure me. He sent messages outlining estimated costs and suggested contributions, implying that my lack of willingness would somehow reflect poorly on me within the family. He said that our parents were disappointed that I wasn't helping more and that my refusal made it seem like I didn't value family milestones. I responded that my support could take many forms, helping with planning, assisting with logistics, or helping with minor costs, but I couldn't provide the financial backing he wanted. Things escalated when Andrew started bringing this up at family gatherings. At our parents' birthday dinner, he made a point of saying in front of everyone that I was holding back and that it was sad that I couldn't step up for family. Several relatives expressed disappointment, while others tried to stay neutral. I felt embarrassed, but I tried to remain calm and reiterated my willingness to help in non-financial ways. A week later, he called me in tears, saying that the wedding plans were falling apart and that my refusal to contribute financially was creating unnecessary stress. He told me that I was acting as though my comfort and bank account mattered more than family happiness. I explained again that I was committed to supporting him and Clara, but in ways that were realistic for me. I also offered to help research affordable options, assist with RSVPs, or coordinate with other family members who were willing to contribute. He refused all of these alternatives, saying that they were not enough and that my lack of financial support showed I didn't care about their happiness. The situation reached a boiling point last weekend when Andrew confronted me in person. He said that my refusal to fund significant portions of the wedding was damaging our relationship and that I had no right to prioritize my money over their dreams. He said that I was being unreasonable, selfish, and controlling. I reminded him that I had always supported him in other ways and that contributing beyond my means wasn't feasible. He accused me of treating him like a charity case instead of family. Since that confrontation, our relationship has been tense. Andrew barely speaks to me except for occasional snide comments about my lack of generosity, and our parents are caught in the middle, trying to mediate but also frustrated with the ongoing conflict. Some family members agree with me, saying it's unfair to demand that I pay for something that is ultimately their responsibility, while others think I should just give in to avoid tension. I feel guilty because I genuinely care about Andrew and want his wedding to be beautiful, but I also feel angry and stressed. I've offered countless ways to support him without putting myself in financial jeopardy, but he seems to dismiss everything that doesn't involve writing a big check. I'm worried that no matter what I do, he will see it as a personal slight and that our relationship may be permanently damaged. I also worry about precedent. If I give in now, it might encourage him or other family members to expect similar financial support in the future. I want to be a supportive sister, but I also need to maintain boundaries for my own well-being and financial stability. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to pay for my brother's wedding after he accused me of being cheap, selfish, and uncaring about family, even though I've offered other ways to help and support them. AITA for refusing to let my brother's girlfriend attend our family vacation, even though everyone else is fine with it. So I, 28F, come from a fairly close-knit family. We have this tradition of doing a big family vacation every summer, usually to a beach house or cabin somewhere. Everyone looks forward to it all year, and it's kind of our sacred family bonding time. This year, we had already booked a cabin for 10 of us, my parents, my 2 siblings, their partners, and me. Everything was set, and we were all really excited. Here's where the problem starts. My younger brother, Mike, 26M, recently started dating someone new. Let's call her Ashley, 25F. They've been together for about 3 months. Mike is really into her, and he's already trying to integrate her into every family event, which is unusual because our family is pretty picky about newcomers. We don't usually include anyone in major family traditions until they've been around a while and really proven themselves compatible with our dynamic. So a few weeks ago, Mike casually mentioned that he wanted to bring Ashley on the vacation. My parents and sister immediately said, sure, the more the merrier, which kind of shocked me. I asked him if he knew all the logistics. The cabin has 10 beds, and with Ashley there, someone would have to sleep on a couch or share a bed. He waved it off and said we could figure it out. I explained that this vacation has always been intimate and organized around people who have a deep bond with the family. Introducing a new person, especially someone we've only met a couple of times, might change the whole vibe. Mike said I was being ridiculous and controlling, and that Ashley would fit in just fine. I tried to explain further. Our family vacations aren't just about having fun. They involve certain routines and unspoken rules. Like, we always split chores a certain way. We have inside jokes and traditions that might seem exclusionary to a newcomer. And there's a specific way we do meals and activities. A new person can throw off the dynamic, especially if they aren't familiar with the family. I also mentioned that this isn't about not liking Ashley personally. She seems fine in the few interactions we've had. It's about the fact that 3 months isn't enough time to truly understand how someone meshes with our family culture. Mike got frustrated and accused me of being selfish and controlling. Then, I told him flat out that I didn't think Ashley should come. I explained my reasoning. 1, the cabin space limitations. 2, the importance of family dynamics on this trip. And 3, the short length of their relationship. I suggested that he and Ashley do a separate trip another time, so we could keep our family tradition intact. Mike completely lost it. He started yelling about how I was excluding him and playing favorites, and that I didn't care about him or his happiness. My sister and parents tried to mediate, saying that I should just let Ashley come and make it work. I refused, saying that it's not about being mean. It's about maintaining the integrity of a tradition that everyone else, including my brother, has historically respected. Things got tense. Mike has been giving me the cold shoulder for over a week now. He keeps texting our parents about how unfair I am, and my mom keeps trying to convince me to just let it go for once. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I'm just protecting a family tradition and the comfort of everyone involved. But everyone else seems to think I'm the villain here. My sister says I'm overreacting and that I'm holding on to some arbitrary rule just to feel in control. My dad says I'm being stubborn and that family vacations are supposed to be fun, not stressful, and including Ashley could actually be fun. I feel stuck because I genuinely don't want the vacation to turn into a tense or awkward experience. I also feel like Mike's trying to pressure me into compromising on something that I value deeply. The problem is everyone else is siding with him now, and I'm starting to feel isolated. I've considered just letting her come to keep the peace, but I worry that it would ruin the trip for everyone else and change the dynamic in a negative way. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my brother's girlfriend come on our family vacation, even though everyone else seems fine with it. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, just trying to protect the tradition and make sure the trip goes smoothly. I feel like everyone is dismissing my concerns as petty, but I genuinely think there's a real reason behind my decision. Has anyone dealt with something similar? I'm genuinely torn between standing my ground and keeping the peace. AITA for refusing to host my sister's small family dinner after discovering she had secretly invited people who openly dislike me. AITA for this situation because my family is split and I genuinely don't know if I overreacted or finally stood up for myself. I'm 28 and live alone in a small but cozy house I work hard to buy. I'm the only one in my immediate family who moved out of our hometown. My parents still live there, and so does my older sister, Megan, 31. Megan and I have never been close. Growing up, she was the golden child, louder, more social, more normal in my parents' eyes. I was the quiet one who liked books, cooking, and having a routine. This difference followed us into adulthood. Despite that, I've tried to be civil. I host holidays when I can because I genuinely enjoy cooking and organizing. Over the years, though, I've noticed a pattern. Megan tends to bring people she knows I'm uncomfortable around without asking me first. This includes her friends who make passive-aggressive comments about my job, my home, or the fact that I'm not married. Why bring it up? Megan laughs it off and says I'm too sensitive. 2 months ago, Megan called me and said she wanted to do a small family dinner to celebrate her recent promotion. She said she didn't want to host because her apartment is cramped, and she asked if she could use my place. I asked who would be there. She said just family. Mom, Dad, maybe Aunt Linda. I agreed, but I was very clear. I said I wanted it to be family only, no friends, no co-workers, no surprises. She said okay. I spent days planning. I took time off work, deep cleaned the house, and planned a menu around Megan's favorite foods. I even borrowed extra chairs. The night before the dinner, my cousin accidentally let something slip during a phone call. She asked if I was excited to finally meet Megan's new friend group, especially that funny guy who always teases you. My stomach dropped. I immediately called Megan and asked her what my cousin meant. Megan admitted she had invited 4 of her friends. She said they were basically family, that I'd like them if I just gave them a chance, and that it would be awkward to uninvite them now. I reminded her of our agreement. She said I was being dramatic and that I shouldn't try to control her celebration. I told her that if her friends came, the dinner was off. She got angry and accused me of sabotaging her moment out of jealousy. I said she was disrespecting my home and my boundaries. She hung up on me. The next morning, Megan showed up anyway, not just with our parents, but with all 4 of her friends. She acted like nothing was wrong and started walking into my house. I stepped outside and told her she couldn't come in. She laughed at first, thinking I was joking. When she realized I wasn't, she started crying and saying I was humiliating her in front of everyone. My parents were furious. They said I should just let it go for one night and not cause a scene. I told them the scene had already been caused when Megan ignored my rules. Megan's friend stood awkwardly on my porch while she yelled at me for being selfish, cold, and incapable of doing something nice without making it about myself. I stood my ground and told everyone to leave. I closed the door and locked it. I won't lie, I cried afterward. It felt awful. I ended up eating the dinner I made alone. Since then, my phone has been blowing up. My parents say I embarrassed the family and that people are talking. Megan posted vague social media posts about toxic relatives and people who can't stand seeing others succeed. Some relatives think I should apologize to keep the peace. Others say Megan finally crossed a line and that I did nothing wrong. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect my boundaries to be respected in my own home. At the same time, I know I could have just gone along with it and avoided the drama. Now family gatherings are tense, and I'm being treated like I'm a problem. So, AITA for refusing to host the dinner and kicking everyone out when my sister broke our agreement. AITA for refusing to hand over a project I built to my sister just because it would make her life easier. I am 29F and work as an operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company. My younger sister, 26F, has bounced between jobs since college and recently started working at the same company in a different department. I helped her get the interview by passing along her resume, but I made it clear I could not be her manager and did not want to be responsible for her performance. About a year ago, my boss asked me to create a new internal system to track vendor delays and predict bottlenecks. This was not a small task. I spent nights and weekends building spreadsheets, documentation, training materials, and a simple dashboard that actually worked. It ended up saving the company a lot of money and got a lot of attention from upper management. I was proud of it because it was the first thing that really felt like mine at work. When my sister joined, she was assigned to a team that constantly struggled with missed deadlines. After a few months, her manager noticed my system and asked if it could be adapted for their department. I said yes, but explained it would take time and I would need to be involved because the system was fragile and required context. My boss agreed and put on the roadmap. This is where things got messy. My sister came to me privately and said her manager was pressuring her because her team looked bad compared to mine. She asked if I could just give her the system and let her present it as something she helped develop so she could look good and possibly get promoted. She said it would only be internal, no one would get hurt, and I would still have my credit in my department. I said no. I told her I was not comfortable with someone else taking ownership of my work, especially when I had already been promised recognition for it. She got upset and said I was being selfish and putting my career above family. I reminded her that I had already helped her get hired and that this was crossing a line. She went to our parents. They called me and said that as the older sister I should be helping her succeed and that I was being rigid over something that did not really belong to me anyway, because it was made on company time. I explained that while the company owned it, my reputation and performance reviews were tied to it. They said I was acting like I was better than her and that I had always been competitive. Things escalated at work. My sister's manager approached my boss and claimed I was blocking collaboration. My boss called me into a meeting and asked why I was refusing to share. I explained the full situation and showed emails where I had agreed to adapt the system properly, just not hand it over to be rebranded. My boss backed me up and reiterated the original plan. After that, my sister stopped talking to me outside of work. At family gatherings, she barely acknowledges me. My parents keep making comments about how success has changed me. Meanwhile, my project is being expanded company-wide, and I am being asked to lead the rollout. I should feel happy, but instead I feel guilty and stressed every time I think about family events. Some relatives have messaged me saying I could have just helped her and avoided all this drama. Others say I did the right thing and that she was trying to take a shortcut. I am torn because I do not want to damage my relationship with my sister long-term, but I also feel like giving and would have set a precedent that my work and boundaries do not matter. So AITA for refusing to let my sister use my project as her own, even though it might have helped her career and kept the peace in my family. AITA for refusing to help plan my sister's wedding after she publicly took credit for my work and then told me I was being dramatic. AITA for refusing to help plan my sister's wedding after she publicly took credit for my work and then told me I was being dramatic. I am 26F. My sister, Lena, is 29F. Growing up, we were always compared. She was louder, more confident, and very good at presenting herself as the responsible one. I was the quiet planner, the one who actually made things work. Our parents never meant harm, but it created a dynamic where Lena got praise for ideas and I got silence for execution. This followed us into adulthood. I work as an event coordinator. It is literally my job to organize schedules, vendors, budgets, and logistics. Lena works in sales and is very social, which matters later. When Lena got engaged last year, she immediately asked me to help, not officially as a paid planner, but as her sister. She said she trusted me more than a stranger and that this would be something special for us to do together. I hesitated but agreed, with one condition. I did not want to be treated like unpaid staff or have my boundaries ignored. She promised that would not happen. At first, things are fine. I created timelines, researched venues, contacted vendors, and put together spreadsheets. Lena mostly focused on aesthetic ideas and posting engagement photos. Whenever family asked how planning was going, she would say, "We are working on it," which felt fair. Then small things started happening. She would forward my emails to vendors with her name on them, as if she had written them. At a family dinner, she showed my planning binder to relatives and said, "I put all this together." I corrected her gently, saying it was part of my job and I had experience. She laughed and said, "Well, you helped." I let it go because I did not want drama. The breaking point came at her engagement party. One of her friends asked how she managed to get such a good deal on the venue. Lena smiled and said she negotiated it herself and joked that being in sales finally paid off. I was standing right there. I was the one who spent hours going back and forth, adjusting dates and packages. She did not even look at me. Later that night, I pulled her aside and told her it hurt. I said I did not need a big public thank you, but I did not want to be erased. She rolled her eyes and said I was being sensitive and that it was her wedding, so of course people would focus on her. I told her that if she wanted me to continue helping, I needed basic respect and acknowledgement. She snapped back that I was making her engagement about myself, and that family should not keep score. After that conversation, I stepped back. I sent her all the documents I had created and told her she could use them, but I would not be actively planning anymore. I said I was happy to attend as a guest and support her emotionally, just not as her planner. She lost it. She told our parents I abandoned her, that I was punishing her for one comment, and that I was trying to sabotage her wedding. My parents called me and said I should just help because she is stressed, and this is what sisters do. They also said I should not expect credit because it is not a professional job. I responded that stress does not excuse disrespect, and that this was not one comment, but a pattern that goes back our entire lives. I reminded them that this is literally my profession and that if anyone else treated me this way, I would walk away. Since then, the family group chat has been awkward. Some relatives think I'm being petty and should just finish what I started. Others privately told me they notice Lena takes credit for things a lot. Lena has not apologized. She sent me one message saying, "I hope you are happy causing all this over nothing." Now I'm questioning myself. I know weddings are emotional. I know she's my sister. But I also feel like if I cave now, I'm teaching her that my work and feelings never matter. AITA for refusing to help plan her wedding anymore. AITA for refusing to let my sister use my wedding venue after she announced her engagement at my engagement party. I, 28F, have been with my fiancé, Mark, 30M, for 6 years. We're not flashy people, but we've worked really hard to build a stable life together. 2 years ago, after saving aggressively and skipping a lot of things our friends were doing, we put down a non-refundable deposit on a small historic venue in our city. It's an old, renovated greenhouse with a strict capacity limit, a long waiting list, and a specific vendor contract. We chose it because it meant a lot to us, not because it was trendy. My younger sister, Lily, 25F, has always been the more spontaneous one in the family. She's charming, social, and tend to land on her feet no matter what. Growing up, she got a lot of attention for being the fun one, while I was the responsible one. I don't resent that anymore, but it's relevant. Last summer, Mark proposed. We hosted a small engagement party at our parents' house. It was meant to be casual: food, drinks, family, and close friends. About halfway through the evening, Lily clinked her glass and announced that her boyfriend of 8 months had proposed to her earlier that day. Everyone cheered. My mom cried. The focus of the night shifted immediately. People started asking Lily about dates, rings, colors, themes. I remember standing there with Mark, holding my drink, feeling strangely invisible in my own engagement party. I didn't say anything that night. Lily hugged me and said, "I hope you don't mind, I just couldn't wait." I told her it was fine, because what else was I supposed to say? A week later, Lily called me and asked if she could use our venue. She said she had looked it up, loved it, and since we already had it booked, it would be so much easier if we just shared or swapped dates. I reminded her that our deposit was non-refundable and that the venue only allows one event per weekend. She said she was flexible and could take our date if we wanted another one later, or even have a joint wedding. I said no. I told her we'd planned this for years and weren't interested in changing or sharing it. She got quiet and said I was being territorial over a building and that weddings were about family, not ownership. After that, things escalated. My mom called and said Lily was heartbroken and felt like I was excluding her on purpose. My dad said I should be the bigger person since I was older and more established. Lily sent me a long message saying she'd always supported me and that it hurt I wouldn't do this one thing for her. I tried to explain that this wasn't just about the venue. It was about boundaries. It was about how she announced her engagement at my party without asking. It was about how every milestone in my life somehow became shared or overshadowed, and this was the one thing I wanted to keep just mine. That did not go over well. Lily accused me of holding a grudge and keeping score. She said I was punishing her for being happy. She also pointed out that my wedding was already planned and hers wasn't, so I was the one with security, while she was starting from nothing. Since then, family gatherings have been tense. Some relatives are on my side privately, but won't say anything out loud. Others think I'm selfish and dramatic. Lily has stopped talking to me unless it's through group chats, and she started touring other venues, but keeps mentioning how none of them feel as special. Mark fully supports me, but he's also sad that this has caused such a rift. I keep wondering if I should have just swallowed my feelings and said yes to keep the peace. At the same time, I know that if I give in now, I'll resent it forever. So AITA for refusing to let my sister use my wedding venue, even though it would make things easier for her and calm down my family. AITA for refusing to help my sister after she publicly blamed me for ruining her life. I, 26F, have always been the reliable sibling. My older sister, Mara, 29F, has always been the dreamer. Growing up, our parents leaned on me to be the responsible one, while excusing Mara's impulsive choices because that's just how she is. I didn't mind at first. I got good grades, worked part-time, saved money, and moved out at 22. Mara bounced between majors, jobs, and friend groups, always convinced the next thing would finally work out. 3 years ago, our parents divorced and sold the house. Instead of splitting the proceeds evenly right away, they each helped us in different ways. My dad helped me with a down payment on a small condo because I had a stable job and could handle the mortgage. My mom gave Mara a lump sum to find herself, which Mara used to move to another city, quit her job, and start an online business that never took off. Within a year, the money was gone. Fast forward to now. I'm engaged, planning a modest wedding, and still working the same job. Mara moved back home with our mom after breaking up with her boyfriend and losing her apartment. She's been struggling, and I genuinely felt bad for her. I tried to help in small ways, reviewing her resume, sending her job listings, letting her crash at my place for a few weekends to get space from our mom. The problem started at a family dinner a few months ago. The conversation turned to finances, and Mara suddenly went on a long rant about how unfair life has been to her. Out of nowhere, she said that if our parents hadn't played favorites, she wouldn't be stuck living at home. She said my condo should have gone to her because she needed it more, and that I only have stability because everything was handed to me. The table went quiet. I was shocked and embarrassed. I calmly said that I worked hard and that our parents made different choices based on our situations at the time. Mara snapped back that I've always been selfish and that I enjoy watching her fail. She said this in front of our parents, my fiancé, and extended family. No one really defended me. My mom tried to smooth things over by saying emotions were high, but Mara never apologized. After that, I pulled back. I stopped offering help unless she asked directly, and even then I kept it minimal. I needed distance. A few weeks ago, Mara finally got a job offer in another city, but she needed money for the security deposit and first month's rent. She asked me for a loan, saying it would fix everything and promising to pay me back. I told her no. I explained that what she said really hurt me, that she hasn't taken responsibility for her choices, and that I don't feel comfortable mixing money with that kind of resentment. I suggested she ask our parents or look into short-term assistance programs. She accused me of punishing her for being honest and said this proves I've always thought I was better than her. Now my family is divided. My mom says I should be the bigger person because Mara is struggling and this could be her fresh start. My dad says he understands why I'm hurt, but thinks refusing to help will permanently damage my relationship with my sister. Mara has been telling relatives that I'm letting her be homeless out of spite, which isn't true, but people are clearly judging me. I keep replaying that dinner in my head. I didn't ask to be put on the spot or blamed for choices I didn't make. At the same time, I know how hard it is to get back on your feet, and part of me worries that if I don't help now, I'll regret it forever. I don't want to be cruel, but I also don't want to keep enabling a pattern where I'm expected to clean up the mess while being treated like the villain. So, AITA for refusing to help my sister financially after she publicly blamed me for her problems and never apologized. Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to help my sister after she publicly blamed me for ruining her life. I, 26F, have always been the reliable one in my family. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. My sister Lena, 24F, has always been more impulsive, emotional, and honestly louder than me. Growing up, my parents constantly said things like, "You're the mature one," and "Your sister just needs extra understanding." That dynamic never really stopped, even after we became adults. For years, I've helped Lena in ways that went far beyond normal sibling support. I helped her write college applications, proofread essays, covered her part of rent more than once when she was short, and even let her stay with me for 3 months when she had a falling out with roommates. I never asked for anything in return because I thought that's just what family does. Things started to go downhill last year when Lena decided to quit her job with no backup plan. She said it was destroying her mental health and that she deserved time to find herself. I didn't agree with the decision, but I kept my opinions mostly to myself. I did tell her that she should at least have some savings or a plan, but she brushed me off and said I was being negative. About 2 months later, she ran out of money. She came to me asking if she could move in again and if I could help cover her expenses just for a little while. I live in a small apartment and work full-time. I told her she could stay for 2 weeks while she looked for a job, but I couldn't financially support her long-term. She agreed, though she clearly wasn't happy about the limit. During those 2 weeks, she barely applied for jobs. She slept late, complained constantly, and criticized how I lived, from my food choices to how I organized my space. When the 2 weeks were almost up, I reminded her of our agreement. She exploded. She said I was heartless, that I was abandoning her when she needed me most, and that I had changed since getting a stable job. She ended up leaving angrily and moving in with a friend. I thought that was the end of it. Then I found out she had posted a long rant about me on social media. She didn't name me directly, but anyone who knows us could tell it was about me. She said her own sister had turned her back on her, valued money over family, and used her success to look down on others. People commented things like "that's toxic" and cut her off. Some mutual acquaintances messaged me asking what happened. I was deeply hurt and embarrassed. I've always been a private person, and seeing my personal boundaries turned into public drama made me feel sick. I didn't respond publicly, but I did message Lena and told her that what she did was unfair and damaging. She replied that she was just telling her truth, and that if I didn't want to look bad, I should have helped her more. After that, I decided to step back. I stopped answering her calls and only responded briefly to texts. I needed space to process everything. Fast forward to last month. Lena got into trouble because she couldn't pay a security deposit for a new place. My parents called me and asked if I could lend her the money. They said she was stressed, that family should stick together, and that I was in a better financial position anyway. I told them no. I said that after what she said about me publicly, I didn't feel comfortable helping her financially anymore. My parents were not happy. They said I was being petty and punishing her for venting. They reminded me that she's my sister and said I was escalating the situation by holding a grudge. Lena sent me a long message saying I was proving her right, that I had always thought I was better than her, and that one day I would regret not helping her when I had the chance. Now I'm stuck feeling guilty and angry at the same time. On one hand, I know she's struggling, and I don't want to see my sister fail. On the other hand, I feel like I've been used, disrespected, and publicly thrown under the bus after years of support. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect basic respect and accountability before continuing to help someone. Some family members think I should just be the bigger person like I always have been. Others say I've done enough already. I keep wondering if refusing to help now makes me selfish or cruel, or if this is finally me setting a boundary that should have been there all along. So, AITA for refusing to help my sister after she publicly blamed me for ruining her life. AITA for refusing to apologize after exposing my sister's help as sabotage. AITA for refusing to apologize after exposing my sister's help as sabotage. I, 26F, have always been the responsible sibling. I moved out early, paid my way through school, and now work a stable job in a city about 3 hours from where I grew up. My sister Lily, 29F, stayed closer to home, married young, and has 2 kids. Our parents adore her and often describe her as overwhelmed but doing her best, while I get labeled independent and capable, which somehow translates into doesn't need consideration. Despite that, I've tried to stay close to Lily. When I got engaged last year, I asked her to be my maid of honor because I genuinely wanted her involved. She was excited and immediately offered to handle everything since I was busy with work. I was grateful, but I also made it clear that I wanted to be consulted on big decisions. She agreed, or at least said she did. The problem started small. She booked a dress appointment without checking my schedule and got annoyed when I couldn't make it. She told relatives details I had explicitly asked her to keep private. Each time I brought it up, she said I was being controlling and that I should relax and trust her. My parents backed her up, saying wedding planning makes people sensitive. The real issue happened with the venue. My fiancé and I had fallen in love with a small, affordable outdoor venue that fit our budget perfectly. We told Lily this multiple times. A few weeks later, she told me she had found a better option and scheduled a tour. When I showed up, I realized it was a much larger, significantly more expensive venue. Lily enthusiastically explained that it was what I really deserved and that our parents had agreed to help pay. I was blindsided. My fiancé and I do not want financial help that comes with strings, and we had already decided on a budget we were comfortable with. When I asked Lily why she ignored our choice, she said she knew we'd come around once we saw it, and that our parents were excited about having a bigger event for the family. I told her no, clearly and firmly. I said we were sticking with our original venue. She got quiet and said she'd already told people about the new place and that backing out would make her look bad. That was the first time I realized this wasn't about helping me at all. It was about her image and our parents' expectations. A week later, I found out from a cousin that Lily had been telling relatives that my fiancé was cheap and that I was stressed because I was bad with money. This was completely untrue. I confronted her, and she denied it at first, then said she was just explaining why plans kept changing. I was furious. I called a family meeting with my parents and Lily. I laid everything out calmly, the ignored boundaries, the venue situation, and the rumors. Lily cried and said she was under pressure and only wanted to make the wedding perfect. My parents said I should be grateful she cared so much and that airing this out made her look like a villain. That's when I snapped. I said that help that ignores consent isn't help, it's control. I said I felt sabotaged, not supported, and that if this was how things are going to be, Lily was no longer my maid of honor. The room went silent. Lily accused me of humiliating her and stormed out. My parents told me I owed her an apology for embarrassing her and for overreacting. I didn't apologize. Instead, I reassigned the role to a close friend who has been nothing but respectful. Since then, my family has been split. Some relatives say I was finally standing up for myself. Others say I should have handled it privately, and that weddings bring out the worst in people. Lily has refused to speak to me unless I apologize for calling her behavior sabotage and for removing her from the wedding party. I feel sad but also relieved. Planning has been peaceful since then. Still, the guilt is creeping in because my parents keep saying I've damaged the family over one misunderstanding. From my perspective, this wasn't one incident, but a pattern of ignoring my choices and rewriting the story to suit her. So AITA for refusing to apologize and for exposing what I see as sabotage instead of accepting my sister's version of help. AITA for refusing to hand over a family tradition to my sister after she tried to rewrite it for her wedding. AITA for standing my ground, even though my whole family says I ruined the happiest time of her life. I, 28F, come from a family that takes traditions way too seriously, except only when it suits them. One of the few traditions I actually care about is something called the Blue Book. It's a handmade scrapbook started by my great-grandmother that gets passed down to the oldest daughter in each generation. It's filled with letters, recipes, pressed flowers, photos, and handwritten notes about big life moments. It's not worth money, but it's irreplaceable. When my grandmother passed away 6 years ago, she gave it to me directly and told me it was my responsibility now. Everyone accepted that at the time. My younger sister, Emma, 25F, is getting married in 2 months. She's always been the golden child. I'm the responsible one who doesn't make waves, so people assume I'll bend. When she got engaged, I was genuinely happy for her. I helped her look at venues, listen to dress talk, and never complained when family attention completely shifted to her. About 3 months ago, Emma asked if she could borrow the blue book for her wedding. I assumed she wanted to display it on a memory table or take a few photos with it, which I was fine with as long as it didn't leave my sight. I told her that clearly. She said yes. Then she dropped the real request. She wanted to add her own section to it. Not just a page, but a whole chunk. She planned to remove some older entries to make space and rewrite parts so it flowed better. She also wanted to rebind it to match her wedding colors and have guests sign it instead of a guest book. I immediately said no. I told her the book isn't a prop and it's not editable. It's a record, not a scrapbook you customize. She got upset and said I was being controlling and selfish, and that it was her turn now anyway because she's getting married first. I reminded her that the book goes to the oldest daughter, which is me, and that marriage has never been the condition for ownership. She said that tradition is outdated and unfair, and that I only care about it now because it gives me power over her wedding. Things escalated fast. She told her parents, and suddenly I was getting calls about how I should compromise. My mom said I could let Emma modernize it and then take it back afterward. My dad said it's just a book and relationships matter more than objects. When I pointed out that none of them were respecting my boundary, they said I was being dramatic. Emma then sent me a long message saying that I've always resented her, and this was proof that I couldn't stand her being happy, and that if I loved her, I would let her have this one thing. She ended it by saying if I refused, she'd tell everyone at the wedding that I wouldn't share a family heirloom. That was the moment I snapped. I told her she was no longer allowed to use the blue book at all, not even for display, and that if she kept pushing, I wouldn't attend the wedding. I also told my parents that the book would be stored elsewhere until after the wedding because I no longer trusted anyone to respect it. Now the family is split. Some relatives say Emma crossed a line and that you don't alter heirlooms. Others say I should have let her do what she wanted because weddings are stressful and this would have meant a lot to her. My mom told me I'm creating a permanent rift over paper and glue. Emma hasn't spoken to me in weeks, but I've heard she's telling people I'm jealous and bitter. I don't think I'm wrong for protecting something entrusted to me, but the guilt is starting to creep in. I keep being told that if I don't back down, this will define our relationship forever. At the same time, if I do back down, I know I'll resent it forever and regret losing something that can't be fixed. So AITA for refusing to let my sister change a family heirloom for her wedding, even if it means damaging our relationship. AITA for refusing to keep covering for my sister after I found out the truth. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, and for most of my life, I have been the reliable one. I am the person everyone calls when something breaks, when a bill is late, or when a plan falls apart. I do not love that role, but I accepted it because it kept the peace in our family. My younger sister Lily has always been described as sensitive and overwhelmed by responsibility, so my parents quietly leaned on me to pick up slack. That pattern followed us into adulthood. Lily is 26 and I am 32. We both live in the same city and work in different fields. About a year ago, she called me crying, saying she was about to be fired because she was missing deadlines and making mistakes. She said her anxiety had gotten worse, and she could not focus. I felt bad for her. I suggested she talk to her manager and maybe ask for accommodations, but she said she was terrified. She asked if I could help her organize her workload and double-check some reports after hours. I agreed, thinking it would be temporary. Temporary turned into months. She would email me files late at night asking me to fix formatting, catch errors, or rewrite sections. I was basically doing unpaid work for a job I did not have. When I complained, she would panic and say she could not handle losing her job. My parents told me to be patient and reminded me that Lily had always struggled more than I had. I kept helping, even when it started to affect my own job and sleep. The breaking point started small. Lily forgot our mom's birthday dinner, which she had promised to organize. She called me an hour before, saying she was swamped and begged me to handle it. I rushed to make reservations and pick up a cake. At dinner, everyone praised Lily for arranging such a nice evening. I was annoyed but stayed quiet because correcting them would embarrass her. A week later, I ran into one of Lily's co-workers at a coffee shop. We made small talk, and she casually mentioned how impressive it was that Lily had so much free time lately because her projects were so light. I was confused and asked what she meant. She said Lily had been reassigned to easier tasks months ago because management thought she was overwhelmed. That meant Lily had not been drowning in work like she claimed. She had been sending me tasks she did not need help with, or that she could have done herself with time to spare. I confronted Lily that night. I tried to stay calm and asked her why she lied. She admitted she exaggerated because it was easier to let me fix things. She said she knew I would do a better job and that her anxiety made her avoid tasks until the last minute. She apologized, but also said I should understand because family helps family. I told her I felt used and disrespected. She started crying and accused me of abandoning her. I decided to stop helping with her work. I told her I would support her emotionally, but I would not do her job anymore or cover for her mistakes. Almost immediately, the pressure shifted. My parents called saying Lily was spiraling and that I was being harsh. They said I had set a standard by always helping and that pulling away suddenly was cruel. They reminded me that I had always been strong and that Lily needed me. Since then, family gatherings have been tense. Lily barely speaks to me. My parents sigh loudly when I set boundaries, like leaving events early or refusing last-minute favors. I feel guilty because I know Lily does have anxiety, but I also feel angry that my needs were ignored for so long. I am exhausted from being the safety net. I keep replaying everything in my head and wondering if I should have eased out more gently or continued helping quietly to avoid conflict. At the same time, I feel a strange relief now that my nights are my own again. I did not expose her at work or tell anyone what happened. I just stopped doing the extra labor. So AITA for refusing to keep covering for my sister after I learned she was not being honest and setting a boundary, even though it upset my family. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her choice of maid of honor. So this is going to be a long one because the family situation is complicated, but I'll try to lay it out clearly. I, 26F, have a younger sister, Lily, 24F, who is getting married in about 3 months. Our relationship has always been somewhat strained, mostly because she's the golden child and I've always been more of the background sibling, but we generally get along. This wedding, however, has completely thrown me for a loop. When Lily got engaged last year, I was genuinely excited for her. I've always wanted her to be happy, and her fiancé, Mark, 27M, seems great. I offered to help with planning in any way I could, and she seemed to appreciate it first. But things started getting weird when she announced her bridal party. Her maid of honor is her best friend from college, Jessica. Now, Jessica and I do not get along. It's not just a minor personality clash. She has a history of being incredibly manipulative and controlling. I've known her for about 6 years, through various family gatherings, and every interaction I've had with her left me feeling belittled or excluded. She once tried to convince my mom that I wasn't a good influence on Lily, which caused a huge argument. I confronted Jessica at the time, and she acted like it was nothing, but the damage was done. Anyway, when Lily announced Jessica as her maid of honor, I tried to hide my discomfort, thinking maybe this time would be different. But things quickly escalated. Jessica started organizing parts of the wedding without consulting anyone else, making demands of the bridesmaids, myself included, and constantly trying to assert that her ideas were the best. She would send passive-aggressive messages to me, like pointing out I wasn't responding to group texts fast enough or reminding me to buy certain things. I tried to be polite, but it started to feel suffocating. The breaking point came last month. Lily asked me to help plan the bridal shower. I thought it would be a nice way to bond, but Jessica immediately took over, insisting on a theme that I absolutely hated and that I knew my sister wouldn't enjoy. I voiced my concerns, politely suggesting an alternative that aligned more with Lily's tastes, and Jessica completely shut me down. She told me, in front of the other bridesmaids, that I was being difficult and not supportive of Lily's happiness. I tried to explain that I just wanted the shower to reflect what Lily liked, not what Jessica wanted, but no one seemed to hear me. It wasn't just the shower. Jessica has been constantly trying to rewrite Lily's guest list, comment on every aspect of the wedding planning, and even told Lily that I don't care about her happiness because I disagreed with the seating arrangement she proposed. I confronted Lily privately about this, tried to explain that I wasn't trying to interfere, but was just uncomfortable with how Jessica treats me. Lily got defensive and said, "Jessica is my best friend, and she knows what's best. You're just overreacting." After that conversation, I started receiving texts from Jessica directly, pressuring me to commit to certain tasks for the wedding, and again implying that I'm not supportive enough. It felt like a cycle where nothing I do is okay as long as Jessica is involved. At this point, I started seriously considering skipping the wedding. I tried to talk to Lily again, but she said, "If you can't handle Jessica, maybe you shouldn't be a bridesmaid." That was it for me. I told my parents I was thinking about not attending, expecting them to at least try to mediate. Instead, my mom said, "You're overreacting. This is Lily's big day, and you should put your feelings aside." My dad was quieter, but also implied I was being dramatic. I even tried to reach out to a cousin I'm close to, hoping for advice, and she said, "Honestly, you'd probably just ruin the day by showing up and being tense." So, I sent Lily a message saying that I wouldn't be attending the wedding. I explained that it's not about her or Mark, but about the toxic dynamic with Jessica and how it's impacting my mental health. I tried to be as respectful as possible, but the response was immediate and furious. Lily accused me of being selfish, saying that her wedding isn't about me, that I was choosing a grudge over family, and that I was ruining her happiness. Jessica also chimed in, calling me manipulative and suggesting I'm making a huge deal out of nothing. Now the family is divided. Some extended relatives understand where I'm coming from and think my decision is reasonable, but my parents and most of the close family are pressuring me to attend, saying that I'm letting Jessica win, or that I'll regret missing such an important event. I keep reminding myself that my mental health comes first, but I also feel guilty because Lily is my sister, and I know she genuinely wants me there. I'm stuck because I don't know if I'm being unreasonable. On one hand, it's my sister's wedding, and I should support her. On the other hand, Jessica has been manipulative and toxic for years, and being around her in such a high-stress environment would be really harmful for me. I've considered attending, but staying mostly in the background. But I worry that even though it would lead to conflict and that my presence might make the day more stressful for everyone. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her choice of maid of honor. AITA for refusing to take care of my sister's kids after she ruined our family vacation. So, this happened over the summer, and I'm still heated about it. I, 27F, have a younger sister, Emily, 23F, and we've always had a pretty typical sibling relationship. Sometimes close, sometimes annoying, but nothing extreme. My husband, Dan, 29M, and I have been married for 3 years, and we usually do one big family trip each year, which includes my parents, my sister, and sometimes Emily's boyfriend, Jake. This year, we planned a week-long trip to a lake cabin in upstate New York. My parents booked it months in advance, and we all put down our deposits. Emily was supposed to come with her boyfriend and her 2 kids, ages 5 and 2. She's a single mom, and normally I like my nieces and nephews, but I'm also not a full-time babysitter, so I'm mentally prepared for some chaos but not constant childcare. A few weeks before the trip, Emily started texting nonstop about how stressful it was going to be to bring the kids. She mentioned she might need us to help more than usual, but I assumed she meant like helping with meals or keeping an eye on the kids for a few hours. Fast forward to the first day of the trip. We all arrive at the cabin, and everything seems fine. The kids are excited, and the adults are settling in. That evening, Emily calls us over and says she wants to go out to a nearby town for dinner without the kids. She looks at me and Dan and says, "So, can you watch them tonight? It won't be long, maybe 2 hours." I glance at Dan, and he's already making the face that says, "We're doing this for the first night. Don't overthink it." We agree, thinking it's fine for a night. 2 hours turns into 4, and the kids are being, well, kids. The 5-year-old refuses to eat, the 2-year-old is crying, and Emily doesn't come back until nearly midnight. Fine, I think a one-off. Next morning, Emily casually says, "Hey, I was thinking of going hiking today. Can you watch the kids again?" I tell her politely that we want to do family activities with everyone and that Dan and I had also planned a hike. She pouts, but eventually drops it. Then the pattern starts. Every day, Emily finds an excuse to go off on her own or with her boyfriend without the kids. She asks us to watch them just for a few hours, but it always stretches into half a day. At first, I try to be patient. I set up crafts, games, and snacks and try to make it fun. Dan helps too, but he starts getting frustrated because we can't enjoy any adult time, and my parents start noticing that Emily is missing most of the activities she said she'd attend. The breaking point was day 4. Emily says she wants to go on a kayaking trip with her boyfriend, leaving the kids with me. I have planned a whole morning paddle with Dan, my parents, and some friends we met at the cabin. I tell Emily flat out, "No, I'm not watching your kids all day. We have planned activities that include everyone, and I am not giving up our plans so you can leave the kids behind." She completely loses it. She starts yelling about how I'm so selfish and don't understand the struggles of being a single mom. She says I'm ruining her vacation and that the kids will remember me as the mean aunt who never let them have fun. I try to explain that her kids are welcome to join activities and that we've been accommodating when she asks for short breaks, but I'm not going to be her full-time babysitter while she does whatever she wants. She storms off, slamming doors, and later texts me that she will never forgive me for this and that our relationship is irreparably damaged. The rest of the vacation is tense. Emily spends most of the time sulking or doing things alone with her boyfriend, while the kids are either with me or my parents. My parents are upset with Emily for how she treated us, but she refuses to talk to them. Dan is angry but supportive of me, saying I did the right thing by setting boundaries. When we got back home, Emily sent a long message accusing me of being selfish, uncaring, and cruel, and that I ruined the family trip for everyone. I responded calmly, explaining that I tried to help at first, but she repeatedly took advantage of me, and at some point, it became unreasonable. She hasn't replied since. Now, my friends are divided. Some say I was right to set boundaries, while others say I could have been more understanding given she's a single mom and it's her first real vacation in years. Dan fully supports me and says anyone would have reached their limit in that situation. I feel like I'm justified because I wasn't obligated to babysit her kids for an entire week while she went off doing her own thing. At the same time, the way Emily reacted makes me wonder if I overreacted, but honestly, I don't think so. So Reddit, AITA for refusing to take care of my sister's kids after she left me to watch them constantly during our family vacation. Character count, 6,432 if you want. I can also write a second story with a twist ending that's a little more dramatic and feels like it could go viral on Reddit. Do you want me to do that? AITA for refusing to pay for my younger brother's wedding after he made my life miserable for years. I, 28M, have a younger brother, Sam, 24M, who has always been a little difficult. Growing up, he had a habit of being manipulative, especially toward our parents. I've always tried to be there for him, but I also started to notice a pattern. Whenever something went wrong in his life, I ended up paying for it in one way or another, emotionally or financially. I always chalked it up to family responsibility, but after years of dealing with this, I started to draw boundaries. To give some context, Sam has a history of making poor financial choices and then coming to me or our parents to bail him out. When he was in college, he maxed out his credit cards and then begged me to pay them off so he wouldn't have to face the consequences. I did it once, thinking it would be a one-time thing. But it didn't stop there. Every few months, he'd have some crisis. Car broke down, he needed a new laptop, emergency trips he couldn't afford. I tried to teach him to manage his money, but nothing worked. Every time I refused, he'd throw tantrums or guilt-trip me, which put me in a really uncomfortable spot because I always felt responsible. Fast forward to last year, Sam got engaged. At first, I was genuinely happy for him. But as soon as the engagement was announced, I started noticing how entitled he had become. He immediately assumed I would help pay for the wedding, even though I've never been in a position to throw money at lavish events. I tried to explain that I had my own expenses, student loans, and future plans, and that he and his fiancée needed to budget for their wedding themselves. That didn't go over well. He sent me multiple spreadsheets of projected costs and suggested contributions from family members. Each one included a line from me covering things like the rehearsal dinner, the honeymoon, or even part of the wedding rings. I was honestly shocked. I called our parents to discuss it, hoping they could talk some sense into him, and they were more sympathetic to him than me. My mom said, "It's your brother, it's not that much," and my dad just sighed and said I should at least cover something. I felt trapped and frustrated. I eventually told Sam no. I explained clearly that I would attend and help with things that didn't require money, like planning ideas, music, or decorations if needed, but I would not be paying for any part of the wedding. He didn't respond well. He accused me of being selfish, of not caring about family, and even said I was ruining his special day. My parents got involved and tried to mediate, but I stood firm. Things got worse when he started posting passive-aggressive messages about me on social media. One of his friends tagged me in a post that basically said, "Some siblings just don't know how to step up." I ignored it, but stung. I felt like my entire family was siding with him, which made me second-guess myself. Still, I remembered all the times he had manipulated me in the past and all the financial crises I had bailed him out from. I didn't want to repeat that cycle. The wedding day came, and I attended. I helped in small ways. I helped set up tables, manage some logistics, and even gave a toast that I had written myself. But I did not contribute financially. The day was beautiful, and despite my tension with Sam, there were moments when I genuinely enjoyed being there. However, after the ceremony, Sam cornered me and loudly told me I had betrayed him by not giving money. He said it in front of several family members, including my parents, who just kind of watched awkwardly. I told him calmly again that I could not give him money, and that my contributions had been in other forms. He stormed off. Since then, my relationship with Sam has been strained. He barely talks to me unless it's about family events, and even then, it feels forced. Some family members have told me I should just get over it, and it's not worth holding a grudge, but I feel conflicted. On one hand, I want to support my brother. On the other, I feel like he has repeatedly taken advantage of me. I'm worried that by refusing to pay for the wedding, I'm being unreasonable and selfish. AITA for not paying for my younger brother's wedding, even though he's been emotionally manipulative and financially reckless all these years. The situation is complicated because I love my brother, but I also need to protect myself. I feel like no matter what I did, he expected me to hand over money, and that expectation alone feels unfair. AITA for refusing to attend my cousin's wedding because of a childhood promise that I feel everyone is disregarding? So, here's the backstory. I, 25F, have a large extended family, and for the most part, we all get along, though there's always been some tension due to differences in parenting styles, financial situations, and general personalities. Growing up, I was extremely close to my cousin Liam, 26M, who is my mom's brother's son. We were basically like siblings because our age gap was only a year. We went to the same schools, spent holidays together, and got into all sorts of trouble. When we were around 12 or 13, Liam and I made a pact. It was one of those silly, forever friends promises where we agreed that no matter what happened in our lives, if one of us ever got married, we would make sure the other was part of the wedding in a meaningful way. The promise wasn't formal or serious in writing, but it meant a lot to both of us as kids. Liam, being my partner in crime for most of my adolescence, always said I was going to be his maid of honor when he got married. At the time, I thought it was just cute childhood talk, but as we got older, the bond we had only strengthened. Fast forward to now. Liam is engaged, and the wedding is happening in about 3 months. I was excited to be asked to be his maid of honor and had even started looking for dresses and planning speeches. But when the wedding party was announced, I wasn't included at all. Instead, Liam chose some of his friends from college and work, people I barely know. I was stunned and hurt. I reached out to him privately to ask why, and his response was that he wanted the wedding to reflect his current life and that he thought his college friends were closer to him in adult life. I tried to explain that our childhood pact was important to me and that I felt it was hurtful to be excluded, but he said that promises made as kids weren't binding and I was overreacting. I was heartbroken because I genuinely felt that our bond should have been honored in some way, even if I wasn't maid of honor. I wasn't asking for special treatment in terms of gifts or planning, just to be included in some meaningful role. After that conversation, I told my family about it. Most of them said that Liam has the right to choose his wedding party and that I should just respect his decision. Some relatives said that I should still go to the wedding to support him, but I couldn't bring myself to attend knowing that he had disregarded our pact and our relationship. I felt like my feelings were being invalidated and that my place in his life was being erased in a very public way. Here's where things escalated. My parents called me and told me that not attending the wedding would make me look petty and that I would be upsetting other family members. My aunt, Liam's mom, was also upset when she found out I might not go, saying that I was making a huge deal out of nothing and that Liam's choices needed to be respected. Even some of my cousins sent me messages asking me to reconsider. They said I was being dramatic and that our childhood promise shouldn't dictate adult decisions. I tried to explain that it wasn't just about the wedding party, but about the principle of honoring a meaningful relationship and the bond that Liam and I had built over years. I also tried suggesting compromise, like maybe giving a speech or helping with some planning behind the scenes, but Liam and the family seemed uninterested. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that going to the wedding would feel like I was pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. I finally told my parents and aunt that I wouldn't attend the wedding. I explained that I loved Liam and that I wanted to celebrate him, but I couldn't go to an event where I felt deliberately excluded and disregarded. My parents were furious, calling me selfish and telling me that I was overreacting to something trivial. My aunt said I was making the family look bad and that I was being immature. Some extended family members have since reached out to say they are disappointed in me for ruining what should have been a joyful occasion. Liam hasn't really reached out to me since our initial conversation, except for a vague text saying he's sad that I won't be there. I've thought about it constantly, questioning if I'm really overreacting or if my feelings are justified. On one hand, I understand that adult friendships and family dynamics can shift, and maybe my childhood promise shouldn't carry the weight I feel it does. On the other hand, I feel like my loyalty and love for him, which has been consistent for over a decade, are being completely disregarded. Some friends have said I should just go, get it over with, and maintain the peace. Others think I'm right to stand my ground, and that it's unfair for me to be sidelined like this. I genuinely don't want to create drama, but I also feel like attending would be a betrayal of my own feelings and of the relationship I've cherished with Liam. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my cousin's wedding because he excluded me from the wedding party despite a childhood promise and a long history of close friendship. Character count, 6,428 if you want. I can also make an even longer 7,000 character version that adds more layers of family drama, sibling reactions, and backstory to really match the most popular AITA posts. It would read like a full, binge-worthy Reddit story. Do you want me to do that? Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.